Hmm. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Marvel Rivals Season 5 came out and has kind of re-energized the fan base. And after an overdue support coming out, Gambit, they gave him awesome kit. And beyond that, we've kind of seen this game go through all the phases. It's gone from beloved darling to it's fallen off, and then people finally claiming it's dead, which is, clearly wrong. Whether, people thought that way because of community issues, boring metas, bad maps, uninteresting characters, we've bounced back. And part of the reason I think the plot was lost a little was that it felt like favoritism in terms of character balancing. So, like, this season bringing new things like Groot's Iron Wall making him CC immune or Pennyweb's being able to heal makes things more interesting. And to get to the real beat or intention of this video is because this is basically like an early anniversary of my channel too, where I want to do a redo of my wish list of characters to be added. Around, unlike the last time where I threw out a bunch of characters I just really wanted to see, I kind of wanted each decision to have a little more purpose than just picking, who I think is really cool and whatnot. So there's a couple ground rules, nothing too hard. First, I want to touch as many areas that Marvel encompasses. Got to keep it balanced. Every set of heavy hitters, a Glup Shido or just a lesser known character, because I feel like I'm gonna say someone and then they're gonna be like they're not a Glup Shido, which I get. Okay, I'm just saying I feel like in the general public they're not as well known. Villains, wherever we can get them, we need them. This game doesn't have any for some reason, and I think that's kind of weird. And then lastly, the most important, I'm gonna try and pick characters based off like playstyles that could be like newer or like needed or like easily translated. And to now set the stage so I'm not like constraining the number of characters to how many release in a year, which would be about 12, I'm pretty sure, without any weirdness, wackiness. And even heavily skewing the number in favor of certain roles doesn't really address the issues the game currently has. And we've already been told it's a slow burn, so I thought it might be fun to like check in to see how many managed to show up rather than, do 12. So I think 21's a crazy number that I picked that I kind of regretted doing, and to be blunt, there's not gonna be that many DPS characters. I'm gonna do 5 of them, and then the other 2 roles get 8 each because I think that's like the perfect amount and the perfect place to get started. All right, and the DPS characters I have, I'm gonna do them all in a row because it's DPS, man. Who cares? First, we got the Wasp, and then I would do Nova, Spiral, Enchantress, and Polaris. But doing just that would be very lame and not quite fair. So what if I said there's like 2 secret characters the role could have in this game, which is Spider-Man and Black Panther. And now these two always like draw the ire of most players, not including the very top, and understandable, but the why I think this is because you don't interact with them. That's not how they play the game. That's not in their game plan. Whether it's Spider-Man waiting, hiding to yank you off a ledge, or Black Panther just blowing you up before you realize you've been hit by him. No matter like how much technical skill or expression these characters have, it's just not fun to deal with them, and it's a problem. That's a big design problem, and fixing them is tricky and very understandably out of my pay grade. I'm not a game dev, but starting with Spider-Man, I feel like this may be like a cheap cop out, but I feel like slowing him down a little and making him more of like a fighting game character or something would benefit him. Like keep the web zip, or keep the web swing. Maybe you cap the distance on his web zip, but also like just make it a different ability, I guess, where like Maybe it has different effects in closer distance, or like he can pin people to the wall to like actually encourage him in team fights, you know. Now Black Panther, the easy one is to give his dash like racing lines to help keep track of him. But the issue with Panther is, and I can't take credit for this, someone else came with this like comparison. It's that he's a sniper effectively, or the game sniper, where he's either getting kills or he's dying. There's like really no in between, and this one's like a bit of a letdown. But to be honest, like Panther's so far out of my league that I don't know what I could like suggest beyond that to like make him feel like Black Panther. I'd be very interested to hear like what you guys possibly think he could be balanced to be like. Alright, remember the fun stuff, the roles people care about that I really want to see in this game, and I'm gonna alternate between them, going back and forth for each character. Starting with the first one, which is War Machine. I still think tanks need an answer to flyers, and I think he could be a soft counter to them and more of like an actual like anti-dive character. I deadass think you could just use what Fortnite did, except with the auto-firing turret, and just turn it into a passive, where it, like maybe it auto locks on, but you gotta like actually press the button to like have it fire, and maybe like the cooldown for it is longer since you used it. And I also want to do a cool little thing where I pick the first skin for each one that I thought was cool, and I don't know the name of this suit, but this is the one I would pick. Secondly, the first strategist on the board, it is Mysterio. Alright, so like, if Daredevil can get a boost from the Beast, alright, then there's no hurt, or there's no pain, you know, letting Mysterio use a little magic. Nothing crazy like how he was moving in Shattered Dimensions. But even if he like has magic, he still gotta use some tech, you know, stick to his roots. It'd be cool if like he could do blasts of healing, like splash damage or something, and then like a beam, and like those are his primary and secondary. So he just, you know, and then maybe he can do a little dome that like eventually, you know, bubbles over and bursts with like weakness, you know, kind of like the cloak window or the new like thing lunge ability as his last one. Or and then no, my bad. His last ability would be a mobility one where he can have like a little drone decided or like disguised as a clown that he could use. You know, he's hitting the Nimbus, and then of course his first skin would have to be his classic fit. All right, number three, the second tank I got is Cable. This would be like the true answer to Flyers and like the first like real poke tank in this game. It'd be cool if he has like a futuristic like laser rifle, something a little semi-auto, and then like sort of like the Punisher. He could switch to a different gun, you know, except it'd be an Uzi for close range, and then he could have like a bubble shield and a cluster grenade, with his ult, of course, being, not to mention having his 97 skin, I think, or his fit as his first skin. I think that'd be crazy. And this is generational hoeing, but for the second strategist, I would do Dr. Voodoo, because I don't know what his kit would be. He's got witch magic, you know, based off his name, but I have him here for another core reason. One I purposely didn't mention, which is this game is melanin deficient, and we gotta up them numbers. And I forgot to mention, you know, War Machine at some point also better be showing skin in his face, so like we, you know, you gotta let him know. Anyway, you know he's got magic. It's so easy what they could do with him. You know, it's really up to them. And then this dope ass suit is what I would pick first for skin. Right, next on the board, it's Dormammu. So admittedly, he's another character I'm not super familiar with, but he's a villain. You know, we need those, especially where like the role. The only real one you could like consider is Mag, but he's kind of like Emma, where it's been so long since they've been a villain. But like, anyways, moving on. I'd give him a mouth flamethrower. Alright, hear me out. Tell me that wouldn't go crazy. Also, give him like the Sigma force field ability, where like he holds all the projectiles and then shoots them back. You know, and maybe he summons like a pillar of flame. And then for his ult, give him like a black hole or like some vortex, and then something like this outfit, or like the closest they could like get to putting his MVC3 fit in, is what I would do for his first skin. All right, so like I haven't really made this easy on myself, but another like tricky one, which is the Beast or Beast, you know. How I imagine him is like he's super mobile, he jumps around. Maybe his thing is like he throws concoctions to heal, and like what if he had like a primal form, you know, sort of how like in the I believe it's the Morrison run, like he's like devolving and looks more primal, so he could have like a primal form, you know, something like Emma, you know, pretty bare bones, and I haven't done the best, but hey, man. And then his first skin, obviously, you know, just give him a lab coat. All right, and then the next tank up on the board is someone returning, which is She-Hulk, which, you know, I could say, you know, there's a lot you could say, but keep it simple. Make her a wrestler. Bonus points if she's a luchador, like luchador-esque, but you know, but she needs a pile driver. Give her a lariat, give her a drop kick, and she can combo all them. You know, rip it from MVC if you gotta. It would be so hyped to have something like that in this game, and it'd be really different. Pretty short, but you know, I think it gets the job done. And dude, call me or like it'd be real cheeky, but I'd like it. A Fantastic Foreskin, or like her in a Fantastic Four suit for her first one, gotta be the choice, right? Okay, so like the next underground character, which also happens to be a strategist, which, you know, my bad, but it's Dust. You know, I saw fan art conception of her in this game, and now I need her. Plus, she's an X-Men. All the better. And similar to Dr. Voodoo, there's another like hoeing. But I kind of get the gist of what she could do, you know? She turns into sand. She does like sand bursts, so I think most of her kit, you know, she's shooting out sand streams and sand waves. Maybe she could have like some kind of like little bomb, like Strange's dark magic, and like call me crazy, man. A sand tsunami where like she dries them out, or dries them out would be awesome as her ult. And I don't know. I don't like. I'm not the best not with the knowledge on this, so I don't know like if she could like be in stuff other than her like outfit, you know, without it being rude or disrespectful. And like, so for like her first skin, the inspiration comes from like a very xenophobic Mortal Kombat tweet about like if like Mortal Kombat was made with like Saudi Arabia influence or whatever, and I saw some based artists kind of clocking them, and they came up with cool like the ninja princess skins, while like paying respect to the way the ladies of that culture dress. So like a ninja skin in like the same vein would be cool. Okay, so within the last year and a half, maybe two, I've come to see the light on Beta Ray Bill. I think he's sick. And the way I envision him in this game is it'd be cool if he has like he like swings Stormbreaker around kind of like in like a combo the same way Gambit's melee works. And then give him like a sick ass lightning bolt that he can either shoot out or like slam down, you know. Cause I don't think Storm or Thor have cool lightning or like electrical abilities. And then give him like a dash or a sprint, or like you know, like he starts flying with Storm. No, a dash or a sprint where like he drags Stormbreaker across the ground into like a rising uppercut, you know. I think that would go crazy. And then maybe he spins Stormbreaker, you know, for some sort of block, and up close it like it hurts people. And then I've seen this fit, and I think this would be a cool one to pick for his first skin. Okay, so I'm like realizing now that I'm recording all this, I kind of hoed strategist a little because this is a lame character, but Agatha Harkness just makes sense, man. She does magic, which is my like big cop out for supports. Also, I feel like most people don't really know her that much despite having an MCU show, and she's a wacky pick. And I think that matters, you know? And since she can absorb energy or magic from what I know, What if her kit revolved around her like constantly trying to like charge herself up and then like releasing it, whether it's like burst healing or damage. But that's all I got. And I won't lie, from what I know, her being young is like a new thing. So for a skin, I don't know. I think the classic Marvel Rivals horniness will just cook something up for them for her. Okay, so we got a bunch of cool tanks and a bunch of weird strategists, and it's time to flip that because my next tank is Devil Dinosaur. It's a big ass dinosaur, man, and I don't know much about her. I think. Please forgive me. You know, give them a headbutt, let them grab people with their mouth. They could spin around or something, you know. Let's juice the whimsy up in the Vanguard role, and that's why I want them, and I won't lie. And for their first skin, okay, I don't know much, but hear me out. A Moon Girl costume for Devil Dinosaur, alright? Please walk with me there. Okay, and then my first, like another, this is a controversial pick. Ant-Man or Giant Man as a strategist. This is basically more of just put Hank Pym in the game, and I want all of the original or foundational Avengers split up across all the roles. Maybe like his kit is that he throws particles and grows and shrinks shit. And you know, he's a scientist, alright? There's a bunch of different ways to like present his healing. Also, I feel like it's more interesting if he's a strategist rather than a vanguard. And for his first skin, I would do a yellow jacket suit because I'm pretty sure the original one was him. And this might be another controversial pick, but in that first video, someone left a comment, and I don't think this is how they imagined it, but I really wanted Wolverine as a tank, and I was very much debating between either X-23 or Sabretooth, but at the end of the day, I think it's kind of fair if the other Wolverine gets to be the character I wanted in this game originally, you know? A tank that has regen, give her the Panther passive where she deals more damage when she reaches like when she hits a certain like HP threshold. I know it's a bit cliche, but she could be more agile and nimble than Wolverine is. But more, you know, but some Wolverine can't do in this game that she could. Give her Berserker Barrage, baby. And while we're at it, her first skin should be based off her debut in X-Men Evolutions, and she better not be pale, alright? You know, we can't stand for this erasure that she's been going through. Okay, so hear me out, right? It would be really cool if Vision is similar to Angela, where he has a flight mode and a grounded mode, or at least like, or even just levitating like Magneto is in game. And more importantly, alright, sorry, strategist, this is like a different kind of hoeing, but he's like a perfect test for Kitty Pryde with a phasing mechanic. He could have a cool energizing beam, maybe a speed boost, you know, make him cool, and you know, make him what Ultron could have been if he didn't suck ass and was super lame. Um, and I won't lie, I don't really know a Vision skin for him. Maybe like the dorky ass Halloween, you know. That's all I got. All right, and then for the final tank that I want to add, it's a bit of a callback. It's the Mandarin, you know. I talked about him being in the game, but this time I think Vanguard more suits him. It's another villain. I still think like maybe the longer he's alive, like doing something, accomplishing something, the more like rings, rings powers or abilities he can unlock. Plus, he's like he could be fun. I you know like an Iron Man villain. You know, let's see it. Um, I like this fit. I just found it. That's all I that's all I got for him. And all right, my final strategist, crazy one that some people might be upset with. My true apology for them or making it up is the Silver Surfer. You know, I think it's fitting to go out with a bang, and I think it suits the Silver Surfer given what I'm familiar with and what I know. You know, I feel like strategist is where he belongs, and like he's got cosmic energy, man, and also like Tell me it wouldn't be cool to see like all of his like whatever he shoots out or whatever he does, like Kirby particles come out, when he's using his abilities. And maybe he just has like the thing torch team up where he can just pick up and reposition people, as a default ability. And with him, this is just all to say, like, I really hope the spread over the next year or two, this character does end up resembling, a split like this. And, just for fun, let's talk about how I would pair up the seasons. So, I obviously Ant-Man slash Giant Man and Wasp, that'd be one season. Beta Ray, Bill, and Enchantress as another season. I would do Vision and Agatha Harkness, as our first doubles strategist season. And I also think like they kind of cancel each other out. And then we could do like an actual 2099 season with like Spiral and Cable, War Machine and Mandarin, Doctor Voodoo and Dormammu, Polaris and X-23, Nova and Silver Surfer, and then just put like I have like Dust in the middle, She-Hulk and Mysterio, and then Beast and Devil Dinosaur. It's been it's crazy to think it's been a year that this game's been out, and a year that I've been doing videos. If you are listening to this at all, out of all of the times I've said it, I truly do mean it this time the most, especially since like my rival videos I think have performed the worst of them besides City of the Wolves quickie I did. But thank you so much. If you really are like listening to this, if you clicked on it for a minute, 5 minutes, you're here at the end. I really do appreciate it, you know, and see what the next year's got in store for me and what happens. And unless something tragic happens, I'll like be here talking about Rivals. So thank you. I truly do appreciate it.